born in Taiwan.
Correct.
What age did you come to the United States?
So my family actually immigrated to Canada when I was 15 years old. So in 1989. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
a long time
So,
ago. I know you were probably even born yet.
um, so what is your earliest memory that you have from your childhood?
Earliest memory?
Yeah.
I I guess I have fond memories of being at my grandparents' house and play.
Mhm. What were your grandparents like?
So it's my mom's parents. My mom and my dad had to work, so usually during the day or after school, we would just go to I just call it grandma's house, and then and we walk home, and then she would have things ready for us, and then we can just go play with the neighbors until my parents come and pick us up.
Yeah.
They're really supportive. They are the only person who will kind of give us allowance money and wash our face when we come home.
Your grandparents or your parents?
My grandparents.
Grandparents.
Yeah, my grandfather also would deliver lunch to our school when I
Oh,
was growing up as well.
what was your school like? Like, what were your school hours? What did a typical day in Valerie's life look like?
Um, I have to tell you, I like the time. Like I might not remember so correctly.
No, that's okay.
I have not a lot of memories of about my childhood, so I do believe that people wake up earlier in Taiwan. So we might have to be in school by 7:30 already.
Mhm.
Um, and then we will have to basically do some like school duties, um, like um, tidy up the classroom, or like make sure the whiteboard is like what back then is blackboard, is clean, take out the garbage and all that kind of stuff. And then we will have like a morning assembly before the class starts.
Oh, wow. What was a morning assembly like? Like, what did that consist of?
So I think here you have like announcements through like the speakers.
Yeah.
Back then, I think once around like say 8 o'clock, all this they would play the music, and then everybody would go to like the track and field, like the area outside, and then we will all line up by our classrooms, and then the school make announcement, and a lot of times we will have to do morning exercise. So
Oh,
we would play
wow.
music, and then we'll do morning exercise. Uh, then and then if some kids won some award, that would also be the time, you will be called to the stage to receive the award. Yeah, and then after the morning announcement, everybody go back and really start their day.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So, whenever you went home, did you have any type of nightly routine? Did you eat dinner with your family? What did conversations around the table look like?
um I just remember it being a little bit random, not like we don't have so much of a routine going on. Usually like dinner we just eat whatever. But it's kind of funny, but when the time here now I have kids, I noticed that people always have dessert. When I was growing up, I didn't know such thing as dessert.
Okay.
Yes, Olivia, now we have to. Okay, all right, okay, please close the door afterwards. And sometimes we will eat at my grandparents' house. Sometimes my parents take us home and we will have meals there. A lot of times, however, we also have like a lot. It's like tutoring class after school. So we will go for like dance class. It's a little bit like here after school. We'll try different activities. So the schedule might be a little bit busy at night.
Okay. Busy at night. Did you do any extracurriculars or like sports, certain activities after school?
Let's see. I was when I was in elementary school, I was in the dodgeball team. But I always like I always like sports. I
Yeah.
also my parents were PE teachers, so I am pretty good at swimming. And I'm also reasonable now at badminton, but before I didn't really play badminton. Um, and we would, yeah. So sometimes, say if sometimes after school we would even go to like my parents, especially my dad's school, and we would just stay there until he's done his work. So we would just play like at the school property. Um, yeah,
So,
something like that.
what did your mom do for work, or did she not work at all?
Oh, she's also a PE teacher. So both of
Yeah.
my parents met at the teachers college as PE, physical education specialists. So both of them, my mom teach in high school and my dad taught in the college. And so his time is a little bit more flexible. So he sometimes is able to pick us up and things like that. And we tried tennis before, but I was not good at tennis back then when I was kids.
Well, badminton, you're good at badminton, and I love badminton.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what language did you speak at home?
I speak Taiwanese at home.
Taiwanese.
Mm.
When did you learn like English?
When I came to Canada. So I grew up in southern Taiwan where there are more people speaking Taiwanese, and like I mentioned to you, I usually stay around my grandparents' house. So my Taiwanese is pretty good until we went to school. Then we were like, okay, we were told not to speak Taiwanese, to speak Mandarin. So I picked up Mandarin there. Since the middle school, we start learning English. So I have kind of 3 years of English like as a subject before going to Canada. Yeah.
Before going to Canada. What was your experience like in Canada? Was it foreign to you? Was it really exciting and fun?
It was really exciting. So I didn't want to go to Canada just because by grade 9 I feel like I have my own circle of friends already, and I didn't want it to be moved.
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing well enough that I could probably do okay education-wise in Taiwan. That so I wasn't really excited about coming to Canada, but it was pretty good. So the summer that we came, we took English classes right away. In September, I was putting all this ESL, English as second language courses. So in Canada, because they accept a lot more immigrants, so you will have a high school full of ESL classes, not just English, but also for math, for science, for geography. So I mingle with all these people from different nations. And I found that very, very interesting. It's like having a little United Nations in your class, and it was so nice to just meet people all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that quite a bit, actually. And I also was super excited that I can do part-time work. So in Taiwan, it would not be possible. So the moment I know I can earn money, I start delivering newspaper, and I also work in McDonald's around my high school to earn some pocket money.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was like good things, I guess. Like I was really, really happy that finally I feel more independent.
Yeah. That's awesome. So did you make any lifelong friends or a best friend that you had in Taiwan or in Canada that maybe you still keep in touch with?
Oh yeah, I still keep in touch with my elementary school friends in Taiwan and the middle school friends in Taiwan. And I think having social medias like Facebook, it's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you visited them at all?
Oh yeah. So my sister now lives in Taiwan. And my dad is usually in Taiwan. So from time to time, if I get a chance to visit, I would call them up. I have two children. They are mixed, but whenever they come along with me to Taiwan, I always yeah, trying to introduce them to different things.
Wow. So can you tell me about like your family, who you live with now, your children? How many kids do you have?
I have two.
Two kids.
Yeah. So Mark and I met at university. He's a mix, so we only speak English at home. And after I guess I have kids, I feel that maybe knowing my culture would be good for them. Not that I really need them to learn Chinese or anything, but then I started going back to Taiwan a lot more frequent. Before that, I think it's work and study and also the money. So I
Yeah.
rarely go back. But since I have kids, I went back a lot more often to just have them understand the Asian culture, and let them know that speaking Chinese is not so useless.
Yeah. So have they learned any Chinese?
It's really difficult. They have been taking Saturday Chinese schools for like a long time, like 8 years, something crazy like that. But they never have confidence speaking Chinese, and that I think it's because a lot of a lot of kids in their Chinese school, both parents speak Chinese, so they speak Chinese at home, so their Chinese is so much better than my kids. So my kids just kind of keep their mouth shut, so they
Oh.
never really learn. So this September we actually just decided to try something different. I hired somebody remotely
Wow.
to just have conversation with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's super awesome. So how old are your kids?
They are 12 and 14. So Olivia is 14 years old. She speaks better Chinese just because for the first little part, I was able to just speak Chinese to her. And Leo, he's 12.
That's so amazing. That's so exciting. When did you move into Seattle?
So my husband found a job about 11 years ago. Well, he was contacted by Google. So we kind of have made a big decision to move into the United States. So here, actually, we're just by ourselves. We don't have family with us. Mark's family is also very diverse. His mom lives in Malaysia.
Wow.
And his father is in Toronto. They separated. Yeah. So yes, so that's how things are, I guess.
Yeah. That's so amazing that your children get to experience all these different cultures. I feel like that's gonna make them really open-minded, and
I hope
amazing.
so. I hope so. They have gone multiple trips to Japan, Taiwan, and Malaysia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there something other than Asian culture that you want to teach your children? Maybe that you learned from your parents, or something that you really want embedded in them as they grow older?
Well, I think I just at the end of the day, I want them to be to understand people a little bit and be respectful of of I guess various cultures, and having more understanding of people, I think, and it's important to me. Yeah, just be a nice human being.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I think the more they see, it will help them, because
yeah.
even I actually stayed 1 year in Japan as a student, and I actually learned quite a bit as well, right? And you kind of understand, every culture have their differences, and sometimes big difference, right? I had friends from Somalia. She is very different. I still remember the first time I saw her. I couldn't believe there would be somebody with such a black curly hair.
Yeah.
So I didn't. So I was like, Abir, may I touch your hair? It's so unreal.
That is so true. I totally feel where you're coming from.
Yeah, so something like that. I feel like, you know, the more they see, that help them to open their eyes. You know, it's really good.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what are your values and morals? Maybe like, what are also your parents' values and morals? What's something that they just firmly believe in, whether it's religion or just something like family orientation, something like that?
My parents are actually quite open, and I think I'm quite open. I would like my kids to keep that open mindedness with them, and be accepting to people, and sometimes hopefully not being so judgmental, like, you know, or I guess try to understand people before they would judge other people. And I kind of also realize we're kind of lucky as well. Us just being doing well enough at school, and, you know, having family that's very supportive. So sometimes I do want them to kind of understand and maybe even help other people who are less fortunate, and help out the community, as they see fit.
Yeah. Oh, that's really sweet and endearing. Um, what is what did you want to be when you were younger, and has that differed? Like, are you something
I
different than?
never, I guess when I was younger, I thought my parents has a pretty good job. They were PE teacher. So I was like, well, maybe I can be a PE teacher too, and then I don't have to, like, they seems to be just playing all the time. So and then boss people around as well. So I was like, that's pretty good. But I never really had any sort of like any sort of like career that I wanted to be in mind. My parents did want me to be a doctor just because I had a gallstone surgery when I was 7. So I was pretty sick when I was a kid. So they kind of wanted me to understand my own body better and maybe help myself in the future. But I guess the moment I went to Canada, because my English is so bad, it was to my advantage that I just chose engineering, because my math and science were way better. And so for college applications, it was a lot easier to get acceptance, and that's what I did.
Yeah. So what are you doing now? Like, what's your occupation?
So I'm just staying at home mom.
Oh, how amazing. I want to do that too.
I actually wanted to well, I guess when I was growing up, I wanted to have that independence quickly. So that's why I started working fairly young. And after I graduated from University of Waterloo, I worked for a couple years, and then I went back for my master's degree, and then worked for a couple years again. And then by mid 30, I felt that maybe it's really time to think about having kids. Yeah, because the clock kept on ticking. So I decided to just focus on having kids. And Olivia was very challenging. So I didn't want to leave her to the daycare. And my husband was traveling quite a bit. And
Yeah.
plus, on top of it, in Canada, we have 1 year of maternity leave. So after 1 year of being with your baby, it's like, I kind of enjoy this. So, and we still wanted to have another kid. So I was like, okay, let's not go back to work.
Yeah.
So after we moved here, it became even more challenging to get back to work, because then all the connections that you have don't exist anymore. And then I guess the family is also trying to establish, right? So I have to look for preschools, and I found that there's a lot of volunteering opportunities in the community. So I started doing that. So I just kept on procrastinating. This year I did try to go back to work. So I worked for T-Mobile for the first half of the year. Yeah.
That's fun.
Mm.
So what does your typical day look like now?
Now I try to be more mindful of my health. So I would actually spend time doing exercise. I joined a fitness club, so I would go to a fitness club. And I guess I have to take care of all of the kids programs. So what they sign up and not signing up, and and correspondence and what to pay, not if I pay the teacher, not to, and all that kind of stuff, and scheduling. So that takes some time. And also I am continuing to learn. So I take online courses just for fun. Now there's not so much of urgency to make money. So I study. So recently I just finished the positive psychology courses on Coursera, for example. Yeah, just keep my mind moving. And I guess also certain times of years I volunteer for I guess gardening and stewardship in the community. So I help with I guess Seattle Health, and basically helping them to manage the garden.
No,
Mm.
that is so like productive and seems like you have a busy life, a fun life.
Mm.
That's super, super good.
I think honestly, after working, like my husband just asked me the other day, and honestly I feel like it is actually easier to be at work for 8 hours where people just tell you to do things, and it's just like one thing or a couple of things that you have to take care of, versus I think if you're a stay-at-home mom, there are just expectations from the family that you would take care of this little here, that little here, and then nothing is ever so constant.
Yeah.
And you also have to manage your time as well.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned something about your health when you were younger, a surgery. I didn't hear you very well. What was that like?
So I had a naturally my body produced stones. So even today I have liver stones in my body. So when I was very young, 7 years old, I had gallstone surgery. So before that, it was like I would have stomach ache, and I would be sent home from school, and they think it's just a regular stomach ache. But then as it became more frequent, and after an ultrasound, I realized I had gallstone. So I had a surgery to remove it when I was 7. And honestly, I don't remember. I know it was a big surgery, just because usually the kids don't have gallstone. Usually it's like midlife where things, I don't know, but so I think I was like the youngest case of gallstones in
Wow.
Taiwan. So I believe I actually stayed in the hospital for a couple months to recover. Yeah, it was okay, I guess. I think you just see a lot of grown up looking at you, asking questions. And also at some point, sometimes it's really difficult because they have IV on you all the time. So if you move, the IV would move, and then your whole hands or arms will swell up, and they will have to find a different spot. So sometimes they had difficulty finding my veins. So I remember once they had to put the IV on my feet. That was not fun.
No. Oh no. So how is that affecting you now? Have you recovered at all?
Like I said, I still have ongoing liver stones, but I think I have make peace with it. It doesn't bother me as much. I don't know why. I think it might just be the air and the water quality, something. But in North America, it actually does not affect me as much. So from time to time, it was stirred up, and I would just let it pass. Take some painkillers and let it pass. I did consult it with with the doctors here. Yeah, unfortunately, I also had a surgery here too because they tried to remove the liver stones out of my body and accidentally puncture my intestine. So I ended up having another surgery. So yeah. So
No,
yeah.
no,
So I was like, okay.
no.
So basically we're like, okay, just leave it alone. Let's not do anything if it is not that bothering you, right? So yeah, I had
Yeah.
multiple surgeries because of this.
What age were you whenever you had the second surgery and the third?
So I have the first surgery was 7, and then I told the second surgery was supposed to be grade 5, to remove part of my liver, and I basically told my parents, no, I'm not doing this. So they tried to respect my decision and turn me into Chinese medicine and acupuncture, which did not work. And then we moved to Canada. Somehow, it didn't happen as often. But when I moved to US, so I knew, it is still there. So I have it looked at. So we have the first ERCP. It's one of those scope procedure to remove the liver stone. It worked the first time. So they were like, okay, let's do it again, right? Because there are a lot more stones a lot more stones in my body. So unfortunately, the second time, I think it must be about 5 years ago now. That's when the intestine was accidentally punctured. So they had to have an emergency surgery there. So unfortunately, once that surgery was done, I had yet another surgery because the healing part of the intestine, somehow they got, I guess, glued together. The walls were glued together, and somehow, so I have to have like yet another surgery to kind of separate them.
No.
But now I'm fine. I'm happy.
I'm so glad that you're fine now.
Also, honestly, having some sort of like, I wouldn't say traumatic experience, but having something like that, I think helped to build my character.
Yeah.
I guess you receive so much help when you were younger, and you also see how much people care about you.
Oh.
I think that kind of helped me grow as well.
Yeah. That's so amazing. I'm so glad that you had people be able to show you that they care about you, because that really helps.
Yeah, I still remember my mom or my dad sometimes, because they back then, they have like this wheel, like it's not even a bed, it's just like a piece of board that you can slot it in under the bed. So they would sleep there. So they would take shift. Sleep
Oh
in the
my
hospital.
Wow.
Yeah.
They really cared.
Well, yeah.
So sweet. So in sum, what kind of feelings and words come to mind when you remember your childhood, whether in Taiwan as well as in Canada? But if you can remember Taiwan.
In some, like, say again, what do you mean?
Like, just what feelings come to mind whenever you think of your childhood in Taiwan?
I think I'm just happy and grateful. I was a pretty happy child when I was in Taiwan. I know some people say they have a lot of academic pressure, but honestly, I guess I didn't really feel that. And I guess, yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, do you think, because it seems like you're really, really driven to learn more. You just love learning. In fact, you're taking these classes, you just finished psych. Like, that is so awesome that you can just do that for fun. Like, what a privilege. Like,
Well, I think I'm just naturally very curious.
yeah.
And lately I've been very curious about people. And the idea that we can help ourselves to be a better person, it's also kind of interesting as well. Because I saw a lot of things are genetic, or if you're shy, then you're shy forever, or
Yeah.
something like that. So I guess I'm happy to know some of the character are not setting stones. You can actually help to be like better.
Yeah.
help yourself to be more optimistic, to be happier person, and to be more productive, for example. So like, yeah, something like even resilience. I didn't know that it can be trained, but then you came to this course. It's like, I guess that kind of makes sense.
It is so interesting. I'm taking a psych course as well here at Westmont, and you just, what you learn is so amazing. I totally agree with you. We're definitely on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, and sometimes they put it turns into things that you already know, and I also find that kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, and you just go deeper into the subject, and it's just something you never knew about. You're just learning more about you and people. Yeah, it definitely
and
makes
I
you feel
guess
closer.
just feeling that you have something in common with other people. I like that feeling. Yeah.
I totally agree. So, do you think because of your curiosity, that's what helped you with your academics when you were younger? You said you've never felt that academic pressure. Do you think that that's maybe something that you've always carried with you?
Yeah. I always I love watching people doing things. So I am very grateful for YouTube because I learned so much from YouTube. But back then, I loved to tag along with my dad just to watch him do things. Like he loves cooking, and I would love to help him doing cooking. So I think that really kind of helped and expand my horizon.
Yeah. So you would say did you learn to cook at a young age by watching, or when did you first cook a meal?
Well, my parents, I remember they used to have a breakfast stand, and I would help to do the simple things like rolling the doughs and things like that. So I never really get an opportunity to cook a meal. Like in Taiwan, it's not common. And in Taiwan, I think it's so convenient. There is like shops everywhere. I only my dad cooks a lot, but I don't know if other family actually just bother to cook every day. So, um, so yeah, so I didn't really get an opportunity to cook at all, and also in Taiwan, I think in general in Asia, as a kid, your job is to study. And being a student, your job is to study. So they don't necessarily want you to do other things. Like in Taiwan, nobody ever tell me to get another part-time job or anything like that. So I think they really want you to focus on studying and do well at school so you can get to a better school and then you have a brighter future. But it's only until I came to Canada, then sometimes I have to pack my lunch. Then I started cooking more and experimenting.
Yeah. So did you ever bring any Taiwanese dishes here to the US for your kids, for your family that you would make, or no?
I try, but then a lot of dishes, it doesn't make sense to make a little. I think in Taiwan, like you make a bigger quantity. Maybe the kind of things that my kids like xiaolong bao, you don't just make one. You make a bunch because like the effort to make them, right? And you don't make like a tiny little dough. You make a sizable quantity of doughs and mix the meats together. So things like that. So and so if I want to make some Taiwanese dish, it does sometimes take more effort. So yeah, here we just eat whatever.
So
and my kids is like any other kids, they love burgers.
Yeah, very true. That's my favorite. So
so
do you have a favorite dish? Whether it's like American food or Taiwanese food?
I'm not picky about food, but sometimes I miss my dad's cooking.
Oh.
Yeah. So sometimes I will call him, and especially now he's in Taiwan, we don't really get to talk. Well, we don't really get to see each other so much. I would say, Dad, how did you cook your beef noodle? Can you teach me how you cook your beef noodle? Or like, how did you make that soy sauce chicken again? Can you tell me? And then, things like that.
Yeah. So, what would you say that your mom's role was in your guys' family?
My mom, she was, she was the only girl in her family, and people treated her like a princess. Um, so in Taiwan, she never cooked really. It was my family is not usual. So my dad cooks, my mom doesn't. Um, so her job, I I think she just take care of us, take us to classes, and we also would go on trips together as a family. But we don't have such a really defined roles for, I guess, my mom. I don't even know if who does the laundry. I think both my dad and my mom does the laundry. And then in Taiwan, we also have to hang it up to let it dry. I think that sometimes the kids would do it.
Yeah.
And it's kind and then my mom, when we moved to Canada, she stayed with us. And we were all struggling with English together, so she couldn't really help too much. Yeah, I remember like the first months, if there's a telephone ring, nobody dared to pick up the phone because nobody wants to speak English.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so I really had to. So she wouldn't be any of a help with, you say, course selections for high school either, right? So I think she's just there, at least physically there and kind of mentally there for us if we need it. Yeah.
Yeah. Physically and mentally there. That's a great way to describe a mother, I believe.
Yeah, and it's not like she really knows something better than us, but then she's always there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think that you're more like your mom or more like your dad?
I think I'm a little bit more like my dad.
Yeah. Why do you think that?
I think he is also kind of adventurous and kind of exploring.
Yeah.
So after he retired, he got a heavy duty motorbike. He bought himself a plot of like a small land, like
Yeah.
very small. But then he always have a dream of having like a tiny farm. So he grew some mango trees, and grew some. He have a lemon tree, and he has a bunch of other fruit trees.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, you're doing gardening now, so your
Yeah,
mom-
exactly. Actually, I actually bought a piece of land north of Seattle, 19-acre piece of land in the flood area. And I was
Yeah.
hoping that it would entice him to come over more often.
Aw. So what are you doing on that land?
I have more than 200 chestnuts on that land right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like chestnuts. Then yeah, so I just decided, trees are easier. Like once they survive, then you don't have to take care of it like as often. So with that such a big land, I figure having trees that can live longer than I do would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be gone, they will still be there.
I think that is so amazing that you have like your own land. Like I wish. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your childhood. What is something that well, if you could tell your 10-year-old self one thing, what would that one thing be?
Learn English. I didn't know we were going to immigrate to Canada, so I honestly struggled with English quite a bit when we first got here.
Yeah. When you moved to Canada, like why did you guys move?
So my aunt had my aunt and uncle has some sort of business in Canada, and they were doing well at the time. So they were like, and my brother, he was really addicted to video games. Back then, video games has no future, not like now, okay? And then also because in Taiwan, you have a very strict system for advancing to the next level. And because he spent so much time on the games, he was failing some of the courses. So my dad was like, okay, well, what can we do? Right.
Yeah.
And part of it is because of my health as well. That
Yeah.
I got sick in Taiwan. So when my aunt asked if we wanted to move to Canada, my dad was like, okay, well, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
So
had to do that.
yeah. So you think it was, would you ever, if you had the choice back then, would you want to stay in Taiwan, or are you so happy that you moved?
At the time I didn't want to move, and now I am having, I don't know, to be honest with you. So so now I'm like the sandwich generation where I have aging parents and I still have kids that I need to take care of. It's sometimes very difficult knowing that I could have helped my mom or my dad if I'm nearby, but I can't. So yeah, so now they're in their 70s, they have a bunch of issues.
Yeah.
So the best I can tell them is I will come to see you at least once a year. And it sounds bad, right? To me, it's like,
Yeah.
what, just once a year? But even once a year, sometimes it could be difficult. Like for during COVID, I didn't see them for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about immigration. Like actually, this is just like the reason, the reason things that I'm pounding in my mind. Like, if immigrants, like if you don't need to, do you really want to move to other places? And yeah.
So you have a brother, right? Do you
I have
have
a brother.
yeah. Do you have any other siblings? And
Yeah, I have a sister in Taiwan.
yeah, sister in Taiwan.
I should add that I'm happy to meet my husband. So no regret, and I have 2 wonderful kids. No regrets. I wouldn't turn back time. But in general, I'm wondering if people migration, it's just challenging, right? Like unless I don't think you want to.
Yeah. So how old are your sister and your brother?
We're just 1 year apart. So yeah, so my sister is 49 and my brother is 47.
What kind of role did they play in your life?
We are so close in age, we constantly fight. But it's really good because now I really appreciate having them around. We can be just ourselves even at this age, right? We don't. And I'm very happy that I have them. Whenever we go back to Taiwan, my sister would really be looking after my kids, take them shopping, give them like special desserts and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, and my brother also, I just visited him in October, and yeah, so it's really good to have families, I think.
Yeah. So did you see? So your brother, sister, and dad live in Taiwan?
My brother lives in Toronto.
Oh yeah,
my brother and my mom lives in Toronto. My sister and my dad now are in Taiwan. My dad would be in Canada right now, but he has shingles, so he's constantly in pain. So since last April, he hasn't been traveling, or otherwise he actually go between the 2 countries.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Right. I think it's really part of life, I guess, aging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your absolute favorite places growing up? Whether it be a restaurant, a park, your friend's house, your grandparents' house that you were always at?
My grandparents' house, for sure.
Grandparents' house. Why?
Because I stay there so much, and I still remember watching TV with my grandfather on the 2nd floor on the tatami bed. And sometimes we have to pray to the ancestors. So my grandmother would give me like an incense, and I just have to go like this all the time while she mumble jumble something. So I have fond memory of that place. And after 10 years after I went back, I realized that place is not as big as I thought. It was actually teeny tiny, but I guess
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're so small when we're young. Like,
they were big when we were young, but now I look back, I'm going, this is it? Like, yeah.
um, what do you mean? Like, do you guys have a specific, like you and your grandparents or you and your family have a specific religion, or do you guys just pray to your ancestors?
I think I don't have a religion. I don't think my parents really have a religion, but then I think it's almost like part of the culture where you would just pray to your ancestors. And I know my grandmother always praying to this Buddha. I'm not sure what I'm not sure why.
Wait, to who?
She always pray to Guanyin Pusa. I don't know what kind of Buddha she is, but she's a Buddha.
Oh,
So she would pray to her, and every year we will go back to ancestors' grave and have like a big gathering of clean the graves and stuff like that. I think it is more of a culture thing than the religious things. Yeah, we don't really go to temples or anything like that. Sure,
okay.
nothing special. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's very special to me. I'm so thankful for your time, and I'm so thankful that I got to hear about your story.
Well, I'm glad that I can help.
Really, really appreciate your time.
Okay,
Thank
no
you.
worries. All right. Okay, well,
Okay.
best of luck, Rudy. And I would scan some pic photos for you.
Thank you so much. I'll be
Okay.
looking forward to that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Have a
good
great
luck.
day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.